Just days after Massachusetts marked the 10th anniversary of gay marriage in the Commonwealth, same-sex couples in Oregon are lining up for marriage licenses. A federal judge struck down a voter-approved ban on gay marriage today, making Oregon the 18th state where gay couples can wed. The shift in policy over the past decade mirrors the shift in how gay relationships are depicted on screen. This week, one of television's most popular sitcom couples is taking the plunge in a same-sex ceremony, and it's hardly making a ripple. WGBH News arts editor Jared Bowen has more.
There was a time when Will and Grace were the pioneers of modern-day gay, when speculating about Anderson and Jody was parlor game sport. Today, though, gay is a way of pop culture life.
Oh my gosh, it's us. For our wedding cake, couldn't you just die?
I really think I could.
Modern Family consistently ranks among the top-rated sitcoms. With a gay couple, parents no less, at its core, it's never conjured controversy. And just in the last week, closeted characters came out on Mad Men and Nashville. Storylines that once generated magazine covers now barely make mentions.
Being a part of the Glee Club and football has really showed me that I can be anything. And what I am is I'm gay.
The Fox show Glee has never shied away from gay or lesbian relationships and delving into the hotbed of high school sexuality. It even upped the ante with a transgender character. Though still headline-inducing, stars who come out off-screen have become routine. Neil Patrick Harris's disclosure had no impact whatsoever on his playing a ladies' man on the top-rated sitcom How I Met Your Mother.
Ted, I'm going to teach you how to live.
The real world is still a less rosy place for gay relationships, as witnessed in the recent uproar over Michael Sam's NFL draft kiss. Back on TV, though, it gave Saturday Night Live a great kiss-off.
I need more air! Take mine! Oh.
I missed that one.
That was fantastic. And Emily, of course, we've just talked about a lot of the major issues that have been advanced in popular culture, but one of the more interesting things, I think, posed by Nashville, which just had this country character come out, is that it's not necessarily a reflection of what's actually happening, where you have no major male country star at this point who's openly gay and out. So while there have been a lot of advances in fictional characters and sitcoms and dramas, there's still a lot of arenas where there are strides yet to be made.
I mean, would you say it's mainstream now in popular culture? Because it still seems like the gay person plays a role of the funny person or the little odd or, the exaggerated rather than just a normal, everyday,
I mean, a lot of my viewing now is of films and theater and whatnot for my job, but what little television I do see, characters are just part of the fabric of society, part of the fabric of families now, and they're not these aberrant creatures who are there for just comic effect. They are characters who just slip in as any other do that don't have to necessarily be noticed, and I think that's probably the best way to look at these.
Even in Modern Family, because I thought that guy is particularly flamboyant, I would say.
Well, he is, but his partner is not, which I think is the really great part of the depiction of that relationship.
Yeah. All right, I want to bring Sue O'Connell into the discussion. She's co-publisher of Bay Windows, New England's largest newspaper serving the LGBT community. Back in the 90s, it was very common to see characters that were depicted as being even more exaggerated, or they were the brunt of the joke. The only exception I could think of was the character on The Jeffersons, Bentley, I think his name was, which was kind of, it was implied he was gay, but it was never part of the storyline.
Well, do you remember, Emily, there was a couple of shows that Tony Randall had where Love Sidney and also the Tony Randall show where he played a judge, and he was originally gay in it, and then the network dialed it back, and we just knew he was gay, but we never talked about it. He had Billy Crystal in Soap, an openly gay character. Billy Crystal, of course, not gay. The underlying theme here is that there were never any out actors who were playing out characters or characters that were implied gay. And, you know, as we go forward, today on television we have a show like The Fosters, which is on the ABC family channel, and on it they have these two lesbians who are, these two lesbians that are actually openly gay and kiss on the screen. And I think the other underlying story is that we don't see a lot of kissing. On Will and Grace, there was no kissing. I don't know when Will finally got his date and kissed someone, and I think that's why this kiss issue in the NFL was such a big deal. You know, there should be more gay kissing. On the ABC Family show, there is. And I remember growing up when I was a kid, when the Liberace show was on, you know, and Liberace, I think, has probably become the iconic image for a lot of folks growing up who are 40 or 50 plus years old. Liberace, whenever his show would come on, my dad would say, there's the mama's boy, you know, there's mama's boy, all the single ladies are going to gather around and watch him. And no one ever openly said that Liberace was flamboyantly gay. I remember being at the Liberace Museum in Las Vegas not long ago, and a couple from the Midwest just, oh, there's Lee's coat, there are Lee's diamonds, and isn't it wonderful? But the sexuality part of it, for right or wrong, just did not play into it.
And then flash forward, and I think last year Liberace was a perfect example, because then you have this HBO film, which in and of itself is a bit of a problem, because no major studio will allow this film to be made about Liberace, despite the fact that you had these stars, Michael Douglas playing Liberace and Matt Damon playing his lover. So you finally have this film made on HBO, no less, but people rarely blinked. It was a well-made film, lots of awards, great jokes by Michael Douglas and Matt Damon, again, two straight actors having no issue at all playing gay men. Which, again, I think took it forward, and it's over the last 10 or so years, we're sort of framing this in the context of 10 years of gay marriage in Massachusetts. It has been really accepted by mainstream society.
And to your point, Emily, I remember doing the radio show 1 in 10 on FNX about 10 years ago, and we were talking to some teens, and a lesbian teen called in and said, I don't know how to tell you old people this, but the days are gone that the most interesting thing about you now is that you're gay. You know, you're going to really have to bring something else to the party just in order to make a wave, and I think that's really what we're seeing a lot.
You commenting about we need to have more mainstream public displays of affection in the homosexual community, but you don't see it in real life either. There's still an awkwardness with gay couples, you know, holding hands or kissing the way heterosexual couples do, just naturally and openly. I mean, we all know it's true.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a generational thing. I mean, I'm not one on the big PDA for anybody anywhere,
I understand,
as I don't think you are either, Emily. But at the same time, you know, I was raised not to hold my girlfriend's hand walking down the street. Right. And the new kids, the kids who just celebrated Youth Pride this past weekend, they have no problem doing it as long as they're in an environment that they think they're safe. We're here in Massachusetts, but there are certainly thousands of places in the country where people don't feel safe enough to do that.
Well, it's interesting where the comedy has gone, too. We were looking back today earlier. There's an example of the film The Dilemma with Vince Vaughn from a couple of years ago, when he was taken to task because there's a line in it that some construed to be derogatory. So here's a clip of that. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Electric cars are gay. I mean, not homosexual gay, but, you know, my parents are chaperoning the dance. Gay.
There was this huge outrage and backlash. People wanted that comment to be taken out of the trailer and out of the film, when really they were in on the joke. And you know, I think, again, that's a benchmark of how far this has gone, that you can say something like that and have it be tongue-in-cheek and have it be part of the comedy now, and it's not being derisive.
And just being gay is no longer the punchline, I think. You know, I remember in that Lily Tomlin, Bette Midler movie, they had the big punchline was that their managers were gay, and they saw them in bed together just reading, and that was the big punchline. And when you watch old movies now, it just doesn't. I can just see kids going like, what is that? That's a rotary phone and that's a gay couple who are the punchline. You know, it's just not going to have the same resonance that it does today.
I mean, you just bring up the old movies. It's still shocking to me this day that Rock Hudson was gay, because he was such, you know, the leading man of the 50s and 60s, you know, the Doris Day movies, and no one knew. I mean, he couldn't. It would have ruined his career.
And he was signing, he was signing into gay bars in San Francisco with his own name, and it just was one of those open secrets that people didn't have any interest in talking about.
It was willful ignorance, just just like talking about FDR today, that new video that's of him walking. People didn't want to talk about it, but again, despite the strides that we're talking about here, I think that we can also argue. We were just talking before we came on the show that there's no. It's still, you don't see the same kind of narrative depictions that you see in sitcoms sitcoms in films. I mean, there are the independent films, there are the big splashes like Brokeback Mountain, or the kids are all right. The kids are all right, but you don't see characters in films the same way.
Mainstream. So that's the next kind of boundary.
Yeah, will a gay character, a lead character in a movie, not alienate enough average viewers, if you will, to buy the ticket and go to the movies? I mean, I think we've seen that transformation, thank God, in the African-American movie characters, where you can launch a big movie and know that everyone's going to go see it, or not be against going to see it. And that has to happen in the gay character realm.
And that only took 70 years to happen.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Sue O'Connell, Jared Bowen.
Great,
Thanks so much for that.